be Megan's Law exclusion, whether it be getting a certificate, getting a pardon, or this new Prop AB 702 bill that may be passing in California, changing everything I said to you, wipe out. Everything changes. And it's a decent law, meaning it's moving in the right direction, which we'll talk about. But yeah, save everything, because some of this stuff may become important later on down the road. But clearly, the longer you wait, the better chance you have. Your Honor, it's been 10 years. Well, I might not. Your Honor, it's been 20 years. Well, 20 years. Your Honor, old, I got kids, and no violations in 20 years. The longer you wait, obviously, the better chance you'll have, and the better chance of the DA not opposing.
You mentioned something about helping school teachers. My fiance was a wonderful school teacher. You were saying you work with the school
CTA,
union?
if you're a member
of
the
CTA.
You have to be a member of CTA. It's a union. And if you're a member of CTA, you pay your dues, you teach. But if there's been an allegation of some sexual abuse or some sexual offense, for me it's either any offense, it can be stealing from the board or stealing from the Boosters Club. CTA will refer these teachers to me to represent them in court if they're being charged with a crime, and CTA will pay a portion of my fee to represent them on these types of cases. They don't have to hire me, they can hire anyone they want, but they get a discount to hire me because CTA will help pay their fee if it's me. Someone else, they're on their own. You can hire whoever you want to defend you. But I do a lot of teacher cases, and I've done, I'd say probably 30 trials alone, just teachers. Classroom, bell schedules, happen in class, interviewing all the kids. A lot of work that goes on, janitors, windows open, closed, blinds, what the kid said, bad grades of the child. We do a lot of teacher-related offenses because, you know, it's not that every single person who molests children works with students, works with kids or around kids. No, not every Boy Scout leader, Girl Scout leader, teacher, or necessarily, but that's what the DAs think. And that's where they find these offenders. You want to find alcoholics? You're probably going to go to bars. I don't know, maybe a place alcohol is. Crazy. Well, if you're going to molest children, maybe you'll work with your students. Now, of course, it's a horrible blemish on every single teacher who does it for good, that actually care, which is most of them, but that's what they look for. And so, you know, I end up getting these. I've had Boy Scout cases before because they've read about our firm dealing with CTA cases, and that's where we gain a reputation, and oddly, it's a reputation of handling these sex cases. And I've had my fair share of problems too. How could you represent these people? How could you? As if these people aren't entitled to defense. They don't have a feeling, they don't have a heart, they don't have a family who cares about them. So, you know, I stick it right back to them. Questions at all so far about any of this? Yes?
Yes, something about 7 years for possession of CP. I'm not sure I caught that.
Yeah, there's certain crimes. Possession of child pornography. In fact, I'll give you right now. I don't know.
Actually, someone had a 200-year sentence in Arizona, and it was upheld by the Supreme Court. 20 images, 10 years stacked.
20 images.
10 years stacked.
You know, I could have actually molested a real child. Now, I understand child porn laws. You know, you keep buying this stuff, there's more of a demand. I got all that. But you can actually touch an actual person and get less time than just looking at an image, which is pretty outrageous. Anyway.
That's what I need help with.
No, it's the images. Just look at, if you look at 4852.03. Sorry, can you repeat that? 4850, now this is California now. California. 4852.03 of the California Penal Code. If you look at number 2, it says, to the 5 years, there shall be added an additional time, if, you know, based upon the type of sex crime. But an additional 2 years for committing any offense for violating subsection B, C, or D of section 311.2 child porn laws. 311.2, 311.3, 311.10. Those are all child porn laws, but look at them closely. Not all child porn laws, just these. If you're distributing it, if it's a different deal going on, and it's not one of these specific sections, it's 5 plus 5. This just gives you 3 years off. If it's one of these sex crimes, or the 314, which is indecent exposure. Those allegations, I guess the state legislature felt 7 years is enough to qualify them for a certificate. Okay.
Did you say indecent exposure is under the 7 years?
7 years. Indecent exposure is a 7-year deal. You don't have to wait the full 10 years, 5 plus 5. Now understand the governor's pardons. Governor will only pardon you on felonies and certain misdemeanor sex crimes. You don't get a pardon on a misdemeanor. Only on certain misdemeanor sex crimes and on felonies. Because I guess the rationale is the government doesn't have to get involved on a misdemeanor unless it's a sex crime or a felony, because it's felony is such a horrible thing to have on your record that there has to be some relief. Some relief. The governor will grant you that relief. If it's a felony and only certain misdemeanor sex crimes. But a certificate of rehabilitation, any felony and certain misdemeanor sex crimes.
And probation should be finished, all this, or that, you don't even worry about?
Well, no, well, as a matter of, probation would have to be finished because you have to wait 7 years. I certainly wouldn't think you're on probation for 7 years. Usually in California, you're on probation for a misdemeanor, 3 years, standardly. Some courts may want 5, but standardly it's 3 years of probation. So you have to wait that 3 years, plus an additional 4 years for that 7 years to trigger availability of a certificate to you.
Does California have lifetime probation?
Meaning,
Yes.
what? Lifetime?
Lifetime probation.
Oh, lifetime. Generally, on state courts, no. You could, well, I've never had a situation where any of my clients are ever on lifetime registration, a lifetime probation.
That's mandatory to live in Arizona.
I mean, life.
Yeah. Because of sex crimes a felony, it's a lifetime probation.
I'm surprised, because normally Arizona, a lot of their laws mimic California. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? You guys have a lot of smart people here. Big state, a lot of people. We're right next to you. People are probably the same, probably the similar. And a lot of, I know a lot of family law things there are some similarities in laws, but I guess here's a glaring difference.
Yeah, you're kind of shocking me when you're talking your standards here.
There's more. There's more shock. There's more shock and awe. Okay, so, all right, so we talked about that. The other thing I want to discuss is the new law. And you saw that out there. I didn't make copies for almost everyone, but get what you can. AB 702. AB 702 is a new law that has not passed yet. It's on the suspense file. I had a chance to contact the representative from up in Sacramento, the assembly member who put this thing together. Apparently, it's on the stack. It's been suspended now, meaning it's not the law yet. I got a wonderful email from a brilliant attorney that I know who advised me that he contacted the assemblyman, and apparently it's on the desk waiting to get regenerated to maybe 2014. It said, unfortunately, nothing as of May 24, 2013, but on that day, the chairman may decide to reactivate it again and get it going. But it's not the law now, but if it does become law, the law does say it's retroactive. The law. I don't know it cold. I'm still learning it myself. I'm still doing my research. I'm reading it. It's a three-tier system. Three-tier system. 10-year registration, then you're done. Done. 20-year registration or life registration based upon the offense. California believes that if you indecently expose yourself, you're going to be treated the same way as a serial rapist. Life registration. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it's life. Yes, we have certificates, things you can do to clean it up, but it's life, it's life. Well, now 290 laws may change where no longer it's going to be life. They're going to consider the actual human being for the first time and consider the person and the crime committed. So there's going to be a Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. I don't want to bore you with all the specific details and the Sorazzo test where they have the psychological evaluation on you, the types of crimes. Read it. It's clearly going in the right direction. It's moving us to the right direction, not requiring mandatory life for every man, woman, and child convicted of a sex crime. I mean, it's crazy. So it's not in place yet, but it will be probably soon.
So it's got likelihood of passing?
Well, the reason why I think it will, because it's the state's California, and there's ways to save serious amounts of money here. This is a money-saving situation. We're keeping track of all of these people, which is crazy in itself, like registering protects society. That is a huge quantum leap. But assuming it does in some way, California's realized we can't keep track of 20, 30, 40, whatever amount of registered sex offenders are on the state. So they're starting to say, wait a minute, this is not working for us. We need to save all this money. So this apparently will save them tens of millions by just assessing the right people for life registration versus those who don't require a life.
If this law was passed, would it trigger an assessment of people who have been put on registry
Retroactive, according to this statute, it is retroactive. So let's, which I'm thinking about, I don't know how all this is going to play out, I'm not sure, but if you've been registering for 25 years for 288A, your classic child molestation under the age of 14, 288 parenthesis A. I say that because the 288 small a, there's big A, there's parentheses. Crazy. 288 paren A, under 14, lifetime registration. Well, you've been registering for 30 years. Registered since 1990 or 1982, I've been registering ever since. Well, if this law passes, and it's been 20 years, as a matter of law, that person shouldn't have to register. But that person has to qualify. So number one, the crime, yes, it qualifies for a tier 2, but there's a tier. It's not just 20 years you have to wait, but the Serrazzo. And the Serrazzo, it's an assessment, okay? And they assess to determine how dangerous you are. State authorized risk assessment tool for sex offenders. If you risk low to moderate, there's certain qualifications, no violations for that 20 years. But if you qualify, it should be an automatic, you no longer have to register. So things I'm talking to you today about Megan's Law, who gets on, who gets off, or certificates, pardons, that all may change. I called the governor's office and they told me if this law passes, the governor will no longer be able to stop your obligation